Guys, the Sugar Show was back in action last night. He got a win over the very tough Thomas Almeida in spectacular fashion. Nick and I are talking about that fight and what's next for Sugar right now. What's up, Barn Hill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
Guys, if you're new here, we talk about all things combat sports. So if you're into that stuff, we really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe. And we are also on audio, so check us out where you listen to podcasts.
Yep.
Nick, without further ado, Sugar Sean, the Sugar Show, the Mr. Rainbow Hair, whatever you want to call him, was back in action last night, and boy, did he look spectacular.
He looked great all the way down to the pot plant braid in the back of his head. I love it.
Was that what that was?
Yeah, that's what that was. And he's always coming up with something creative, and there's only so many things you can do with rainbow colors and cornrows in your head, but he manages to find the different variations and keeps us guessing.
Being married to a hairstylist doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he looked like a strong, powerful guy. That could be the dad strength that's finally reached his, because he just recently became a dad. Maybe that's something that had to do with it, but everything he threw looked very sharp, very powerful. And the guy's just a star. He's pay-per-view junior. You know, he's on all the pay-per-views, but like the third fight from the top, and I get that. But it's hard to be a pay-per-view fighter that's at the main event unless you're fighting for a title. But he's finding himself exclusively fighting on pay-per-view fights, and he's undoubtedly just a star.
No question. And I think we'll see him either as the main event of a fight night in his next fight, or we'll see him as the co-main event of a pay-per-view with a title fight being the main event.
He'll do really well on ESPN.
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe if they do another ABC card, you know, get some more eyes on him that way. There's a lot of opportunities for Sean, but as you said, he's definitely a star. He understands what marketing and even trolling and like building a buzz around himself is all about. He has a deep understanding of that, but don't mistake that for him not having the chops to hang in the octagon, because he certainly does.
Yeah.
Last night's performance can just be summed up as a technical clinic in striking.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to call Sean technically unorthodox.
Yeah.
Because he's unorthodox in the way he fights, but the strikes are very crisp. They land, and they're very technically thrown and well timed.
Yeah, he's great with his range, and obviously he spins really well. But one thing he does so well is he feints. He feints really great shots, and you don't know if he's going to spin because he's throwing his head back this way as if he's going to go for a back spin and he's going to do some sort of a wheel kick, or you just don't know. Some of his juke moves, and I'm going to call them juke moves because it's what you learn in football. That's football terminology. That's what they look like. His feints are literally him like doing something like a wide receiver would do to
shake off a safety.
When the center, when the center sends the ball and they're trying to get off the line and get some distance from the safety. So I really was impressed with how he looked, and he's composed in there. He's a star without a doubt. The X's and O's of the fight were super interesting. You've got a guy that's as tough as nails, absolutely tough as nails in Thomas Almeida, taking everything that Sean's throwing at him, getting dropped to the point where Sean wasn't even going to engage after that walk-off knockout, and then you see him get up as quick as Tyson Fury got up against Deontay Wilder. You know, Thomas Almeida, we thought he was down and out, and he right back in there, and he put together a great another 2 rounds essentially. I mean, it was almost that fight almost went the distance, and you know, he's tough. It just shows you how powerful the body and the striking of OMalley is. He's a tall, skinny guy, so you don't think power goes hand in hand with that. But he doesn't rely on, you know, brute strength and having muscles that are bulging out of his shirt, but he throws everything so well in like a whip, and you know, speed is power. That's one thing you learn in striking, and he's got crazy speed, great hands, great eyes. His vision for the range and everything is spot on, and I think that fight really helped him get back on track to where he needed to be. I think that the extra 10 minutes of the fighting was actually something that's going to benefit him in the long run, because he got to continue, you know, gaining highlights, which is something he loves. He gets to add to his highlight arsenal because he was scoring really well. But also he's, you know, in there gaining some experience as, you know, becoming more of a veteran of UFC fighting. I know he's got a lot of fights, but fighting in the UFC is a little bit different. and you just can't help but love the character that he is. When Bruce Buffer's announcing him last night, and he's saying this guy has a record of 12-1. As soon as he says 1, you see O'Malley hold up the O, the goose egg, and it's just. You hear him say stuff before the fight, and you're like, oh man, I hope he doesn't actually believe that he's an undefeated fighter. But when you see him do stuff like that, he's taking this as a character. It's a joke. It's a troll. It doesn't affect him mentally the way he likes to let people think that it affects him mentally. And I think it's a great thing.
He's one of those people like Conor was back in the day, where at a very young age, they're willing to put a hell of a lot of pressure on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And be okay to relish in that, to sit in that, to live in that pressure.
Yeah.
There's very few fighters, especially young fighters, that can do that. Talking about his power, as you said, speed is power, but it's the hip rotation. He understands how to throw a punch. You don't have to be a guy that looks like Brock Lesnar to be able to throw with a tremendous amount of power. In fact, a lot of those guys aren't able to throw with as much power as somebody who looks like a Sean O'Malley. Mm-hmm. What power really is its speed, its timing, and even more importantly, its placement. He's very crisp with his shot placement. He's very accurate. He finds the chin very well, and it's also trickery. Because if he can do something, as you said, with those head feints, and you see a lot of people feint the kicks, they kind of feint the jab, they feint the straight left or straight right, depending on what stance they're in. You don't see a lot of people feinting a spinning mechanic.
Right.
That's really unorthodox. And he said that's one of his moves. I was watching him in the post-fight press conference. He said, I like to fake the spinning back kick and see how they react to it. If they don't react to it, then obviously I throw the spinning back kick and I catch them with it, which that's a devastating shot, whether it hits the body or the head. But if they do bite on it, usually they'll drop their hands a little bit and try to get out of the way, and I feint and I come back with the straight right.
Yeah.
So, or in his case, I think a straight left.
Yeah.
But it shows a high level of striking proficiency. He said that he's getting back in the gi. He's perfecting his jiu-jitsu. So that side of his game is coming along well. Obviously, Timbo, his coach, is a jiu-jitsu black belt, and they're working on his ground game as well. He's very proud of that purple belt that he has.
Yeah, as he should be.
Yeah, and I think Sean is really coming along as a fighter. I think we'll see a number next to his name come Tuesday. But yeah, really great performance against a guy, as you said, Thomas Almeida, who's tough as nails. And I think Sean could have finished him. If he would have jumped on him, it would have been a TKO finish. But Sean's emphatic. He likes drama. He's that kind of guy. He likes to troll people. He wanted a walk-off knockout, and that's what he looked for. He thought he had it, didn't quite have it, and then he was able to get it. I'd call that a walk-off. I mean, what he did, that was kind of the stamp at the end there as he landed that final blow was certainly emphatic, to say the least.
Yeah, he wasn't going to get burned again with Almeida standing back up after that. So, I was very impressed with how he finished the fight, and he's come such a long way with his striking, and he's at a point now where we were talking about the spinning kicks. The reason that he's able to fake that, which is so uncommon, is because he's so accurate with it when he throws it, and the body shots. He was landing those types of spinning kicks and all kinds of kicks, even some punches and stuff to the body, and that had to slow Almeida down a bit.
Yeah.
It had to make him a little bit gun shy, throw him off any sort of rhythm that he was trying to find. And that's the thing, is you've got rhythm fighters and you've got fighters that live on timing, and Sean kind of throws all that out the window, and he throws things. He's a disruptive fighter.
Yeah.
He not only mentally but physically. He physically disrupts you from getting into your rhythm and timing, and mentally he disrupts you from focusing on the task at hand and your game plan by all this crazy stuff he's doing. And it's just something in the universe with people like O'Malley, people like Conor back in the day. There's certain people, even like an Anderson Silva, when no matter what they do when they step in the octagon, it's a moment, it's a thing.
Right.
And like him doing a walk-off and it not finishing the fight is just so Sean O'Malley. It's just there's
that's
something
so
about
Sean.
Yeah, that's such a Sugar Sean thing to have happen.
They should make T-shirts to say "That's so Sugar."
Yeah, that's so Sugar. Yeah, it's typical Sugar.
If they do that, make sure you throw the royalty back to the Barnhill brothers for the idea.
Exactly, you're welcome. But it's just one of those things where every time Conor steps in the octagon, there's a moment. Every time now Sean O'Malley gets in the octagon, there's this feeling that we get as fans and as people that enjoy fights, and he's undoubtedly a star. And I think if he is able to put that loss of Vera behind him completely and just keep moving forward the way he is, we're going to see him climb and climb and climb up the ladder of success.
Well, here's the thing about putting the loss to Vera behind him. I was surprised a lot of the media analysts last night were asking Dana, do you want to make the rematch with Vera? So I was actually kind of surprised by that. I didn't think that they would be calling for that, but Marlon Vera had that loss to Jose Aldo. So I think he sits at number 15 right now. I think Sean will come into the top 15, which may even bump Cheeto out of the top 15. So maybe if it is a time to do a rematch, because I think O'Malley is going to continue to progress, it might be now. It might be the time to what better way to get past Vera than to actually get past Vera.
There you go. You put that fight, that rematch on big ESPN. You let those two guys do it. There's a great storyline. The promotional side would be a lot of fun.
And Cheeto's really good with the trash talk. He gets the game too. Cheeto knows how to troll. He knows how to talk some smack. So he's a good counterpart to that fight.
And Cheeto's a stud. And there's a lot of people that relate to Cheeto, and they really like Cheeto. They can get behind him. They didn't know who he was, but after they saw him beat up the guy with the rainbow hair, they were in. They want to be fans of that guy.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great fight. I think that's a great scenario for the UFC to potentially play with. Maybe you can make that happen sooner than later, because I'm sure Cheeto Vera is ready to get back in there. And Sean, the more active you can keep him, the better. He's a star, and I know that longevity is the name of this sport, and we're probably going to see Sean fight for another decade.
Yeah.
But while he's healthy, while he's young, let's just keep putting him out there and keep testing him, see what he can do, because I think there's a lot that you can gain out of Sean O'Malley, progressing in his career in the UFC.
Yeah, and he didn't have a number next to his name coming into last night. Presumably, he'll be somewhere in the 10 to 15 ranking. But
he's a top 10 to 15 caliber fighter.
That's what I was curious about. I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah.
If regardless of actually, what number he's at, where do you really place him as far as skill level and who he could beat in the division?
Well,
number-wise.
If you ask me right now, and I think the rankings are kind of a silly thing, because if Sean wins 2 more fights the way he's been winning fights, then we could see him in a title fight, or at least a contenders fight. And that means the rankings don't matter. Khamzat Chimaev showed us the rankings don't really matter all that much. So I personally, if I'm being 100% honest, can name a lot of fighters in all the divisions. I don't know if I can name 10 fighters that I believe are skillfully better than O'Malley at 135. Mm-hmm. If you gave me a pen and paper and maybe the rankings sitting in front of me, I think I could probably justify getting 10 to 12 people that I would put ahead of him in the rankings. But that's about it. I think 13, top 12 through 15 is where he belongs, and that's a fair assessment of his skills.
Yeah. See, I'm even going to go a little higher. I think he's top 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that obviously Corey Sandhagen,
you got
give
some
him a
studs
lot of trouble.
up there.
Peter Yan gave him a lot of trouble. TJ Dillashaw is a very interesting one because TJ is so much shorter, but TJ is so skilled,
TJ's
and
best, yeah.
He's going to be coming back. Aljamain Sterling, but I think I would start to grasp at straws after I named about 5 or 6 people at who I truthfully believe could beat Sean O'Malley.
Yeah. Well,
and so I think if I'm going to place an artificial number, Stephen Barnhill's ranking of Sean O'Malley, I would put him at number 6 or 7.
Wow. Yeah, because
I was
look
really
at that
impressed.
division and it's really stacked, but it feels like it's consolidated at the very top. You've got your Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling. Those are the top 2 guys right now. TJ Dillashaw is the next top guy. He just hasn't had his opportunity in a little while. Jose Aldo right there.
Yeah.
Sandhagen right there. That's just 5 guys right there. I would put all of them ahead of O'Malley.
I think so.
And then there's some more that are kind of waiting in the wing, but I think you're right. He's right there, and the thing about him is not only is he the skill for skill can he hang with those guys, he's got the personality. He's got that Midas touch where everything he touches turns to gold, and he's fun to watch, and he brings eyes to the show. And at the end of the day, this is a sport, and sports are entertainment, and he's there to entertain, and he is very entertaining. So I think the UFC takes note of that. They understand. They're very good at this, and they've been doing it for a while very successfully. So I think they're going to do what's right for O'Malley. I can't really predict exactly what that is, but I think what you said with Chito Vera maybe doing a potential rematch is that might be the next best, the best next step for O'Malley.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be a really, really good, fun fight. The build-up would be great. Maybe use that as a main. When obviously fans are coming back. Dana said hopefully this is going to be the last pay-per-view at the Apex, but he's not sure what he's going to do about the fight night. So maybe if they start to do some of the fight nights in different locations, we could see them headline a fight night. I think that would be a lot of fun. But Sean O'Malley, make no mistake about it, Dana White and the UFC would love to see a belt around his waist at some point. Yeah. He has all of the makings of being a star. He also has, he's very young. He's in his mid-20s. He's got the frame of a 145 fighter. Sure. So he's the type of guy that they would love to see catch the 135 belt at some point in his late 20s and sort of be the Max Holloway said he's going to finish his career at 155. I think they may see the trajectory of O'Malley if he can prove to be as successful or even in the same ballpark as successful as Max Holloway. Yeah. Then, he could be the Max Holloway of the 135 to 145 where Max is 145 to 155. So you could see the 30-plus age part of his career be at 145, especially given that tall frame.
Yeah, and he would look more similar to some of the body types up there. You look at a couple other people that I would probably rank above him, even though one's out a little bit, kind of out of the rankings, Henry Cejudo, and then you've got Cody Garbrandt. Yeah. Those two guys, but their body frame is totally different than O'Malley's. And as you said, when you get older, you start to develop a little bit more, and by the time you're 30, you carry around a little bit more dense bones and muscle and everything. So I could see him doing that, making the jump at about 30, 32 years old into the 45 division. Yeah. But right now, I think he moves really well at 35. I think he's technically sound and technically unorthodox because he's doing things that nobody else is doing. And one of the best compliments you can give anybody in any walk of life is that they're an innovator. Yeah. And it's very rare to find an innovator. You've got certain people in the music industry like Eddie Van Halen. When he started finger tapping, that's innovation. Right. You've got people that do things differently. Conor McGregor, the champ, that's innovation. O'Malley is doing things that other people aren't doing, so he's a bit of an innovator. So when you talk about the greatest of all time, the best of this era, the best of that, whether you're talking about music, sports, whatever, acting, whatever. Then you look at who's the most innovative of those times, and that's almost a more rare club to be in. And I think O'Malley is one of the innovators, and we're going to see him really propel the next generation of strikers, and he's going to at least be a part of that vehicle moving forward.
Yeah, no question. The future is very, very bright for O'Malley. Unfortunately, on the flip side of that, I think we just have to touch quickly on Thomas Almeida. That's now 4 in a row for him. Yeah. Which is sad because he's only 29 years old. I mean, presumably he's got, if he wants to, a lot of fight left in him. He's not even in his physical prime. He could be one of those people who we see go outside of the UFC, maybe find a different camp, maybe tune some things up and tweak some things that he needs to work on, go string together 5 or 6 wins, and then 3 years from now be back in the UFC in his early to mid 30s. So, it could be that type of situation with Almeida, but you got to think at least for now, 4 in a row, he's probably gone, right?
He might get his walking papers. And, I think he's got some good skills. He's obviously tough, and he would present a lot of problems to a lot of the people at Bellator's 135 division, one championship. There's some fun fights he could have over there, PFL. And he, crazier things have happened. He could certainly wind up back in the UFC, but he is, as far as fight years go, he's kind of old. Yeah. And even though he's 29 years old, he's probably, 75 in fight years. He's just done a lot of heavy lifting in his short career. So I don't know. I don't know what's next for him. I'm hoping the best because he seems like a good guy. He seems like he still has some fight left in him, like you said. And I just hate to see such a young guy get kicked to the curb. But I think, when one door closes, another one opens, and Bellator or PFL or one would be happy to take somebody like that. and hopefully he just can rejuvenate and have a career resurgence.
I agree, but certainly O'Malley's night last night, and what a bright future he has in front of him.
Absolutely.
Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Let us know in the comments, were you as impressed with Sugar as we were, and who would you like to see him fight next? We kind of laid out a couple options there. There's always the Garbrandt option, but maybe Cheeto Vera. Let's run that one back and let Sean correct that only loss of his career if he can. And thanks again so much, guys, for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe, and check us out on audio where you listen to those podcasts. Until the next one, have a great day.
Peace.